According to Andy Halliday, Rangers have paid crazy money for a player who's not worth a tenth of the price. Explosive tension brews at Ibrox as Nico Raskin finds himself frozen out of both club and country in a saga that could derail the dressing room. And while one highly rated Rangers youngster slips away to Nottingham Forest, almost unnoticed, another arrives to light up the front line, and why Bojan Miovski might just be the striker you've waited years for. Title: Hopes reignited, pressure boiling over, and moves that could shape the entire season. This one's unmissable. Rangers have pulled the trigger on one of the boldest transfer moves in recent years, and it's fair to say this one's got folk talking. On the final day of the window, Rangers agreed a deal with Everton for Youssef Chermiti, a striker who's yet to show any real fire down south, for a fee that could rise to £10 million. That's right, £10 million. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill squad filler. This is the most money Rangers have spent on a player since Tore Andre Flo shattered our transfer record. But instead of bringing in a proven goal machine, we've got a forward who's not managed a single goal or assist in 24 appearances for Everton. You read that correctly? 0 goals, 0 assists. It's the kind of stat that would have your granny raising her eyebrows. Now, former Rangers midfielder Andy Halliday isn't exactly sold. He's come out and said what a lot of you might be thinking, that this deal is extremely risky. His words, not mine. Halliday questions why on earth Rangers would throw £8 million, possibly more, at a lad with just 3 career goals to his name. He's even suggested there must have been more obvious targets to go after with that kind of cash. But then there's the other side of it. Youssef Chermiti himself says it was Rangers or nothing. He had other offers, but the moment Kevin Thelwell, our sporting director and a man who knows the player well from their Everton days, picked up the phone, the deal started moving. Chermiti said all the right things, talking about how he knows the Scottish style, how he's mates with lads who've played here, and how he wants to bring quick feet, sharpness, and goals to Ibrox. Now, that's lovely to hear, but let's be honest, Rangers don't splash nearly £10 million on a striker just to hear nice interviews. You want goals, you want end product, you want someone who sends that lot across the city into meltdown when the ball hits the back of the net. Chermiti's here with a clean slate, and he's got a massive point to prove. If he turns into a sensation, it'll be seen as a masterstroke. But if not, well, heads will roll. Is Kevin Thelwell putting his old Everton loyalties above Rangers' best interests? Or is this a genius move that'll shut everybody up when the goals start flying in? Would you spend £10 million on a striker who's never scored in the English Premier League just because your sporting director knows him from a previous job? Well, here we go again. Drama off the pitch, threatening to bleed right into the heart of Ibrox. Nico Raskin, once seen as the heartbeat of Rangers midfield, is now watching the world move on without him, both at club and country level. And you've got to wonder, how did it all come to this? Over the summer, Raskin had 1 foot out the door. Crystal Palace was sniffing, Wolves were circling, and if you believe the noise, his bags were as good as packed. But in the end, nothing materialized. He stayed put, and maybe that's when the problems really began. There have been whispers, and not the kind you ignore, about friction between Raskin and Russell Martin. Now, whether it's tactical differences, personality clashes, or something deeper behind the scenes, nobody outside the dressing room knows for sure, but actions speak louder than PR spin, and when you're left out of the squad for an old firm derby, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure something's up. And now, away with Belgium, things have taken another sour turn. Raskin didn't even get a kick in their 6-0 thrashing of Liechtenstein, watched from the bench while Yuri Tielemans ran the show, bagged 2 goals, and probably cemented his place ahead of him. And with Kazakhstan up next, it's looking more and more like Raskin's going to be just another unused name on the team sheet again. It's gutting, really. Here's a lad who's climbed every rung of Belgium's youth system, earned his senior debut in March, and now finds himself frozen out at club level and sidelined on the international stage. His stats for the national side are modest, but you can't build momentum if you're glued to the bench. But here's the rub. The only way back into Garcia's plans for Belgium is by turning it around at Ibrox, and that means one thing: Russell Martin and Nico Raskin have to sort themselves out quickly. No more sulking, no more cold shoulders, just straight up professionalism and performance. Because with Rangers winless in 4, dumped out of the Champions League, and staring down the barrel of a must-win clash against Hearts, there's no room left for pride. Russell Martin's already on a tightrope. His spending spree has bought him less patience, not more. And if he continues to alienate one of our most technically gifted players, when the squad's crying out for control and drive in midfield, the questions will come thicker and faster. Should a Rangers manager who's winless in 4, out of Europe, and clashing with key players like Raskin even still be in the dugout for the next game? Blair McClure, remember the name? Because while he might not have kicked a ball for the Rangers senior side yet, he's just made a bold move that could define his career. The Northern Irish midfield prospect, who arrived from Linfield back in 2023, has made the leap to England, joining Nottingham Forest on loan with an option to buy. Now, there's no official club announcement just yet, but let's not kid ourselves. The cat's out the bag. A photo has surfaced online showing McClure donning the Forest jersey, grinning like a lad who knows he's about to start a whole new chapter. He's still a Rangers player, technically, but this move's got more than a whiff of goodbye about it. It's a loan, yes, but with an option to buy, and you don't throw that clause in unless there's intent behind it. So, who is Blair McClure, and why should you care? Well, he's just 18, already capped 12 times for Northern Ireland's under-19s, and has come through every level of their youth setup. Rangers snapped him up with high hopes, and he's had a proper footballing education, including a spell at Kelty Hearts, where he got a taste of men's football. No more pampered academy pitches or pedestrian under-18 games. We're talking real football, gritty and raw, under floodlights in League One. That's where he learned to be streetwise, and you can hear the maturity in his words. He spoke about long drives, training sacrifices, getting stuck into games where a 2-0 lead means nothing unless you know how to close it out like a seasoned pro. That's the kind of grounding Rangers should thrive on. Lads who've paid their dues and want to battle for a shirt at Ibrox, but now he's off to Forest's under-21s, hoping to impress in England. And here's the stinger. You've got to ask why Rangers are letting a highly rated youth international slip away. Are we that confident in our midfield pipeline, or are we gambling that he won't make the jump to Premier League quality? Because, let's be honest, we've seen this story before. A young lad leaves for pennies, blossoms elsewhere, and years later, we're left wondering why we didn't back him properly. Is Rangers quietly becoming a stepping stone club for young talent, or should we be fighting harder to keep lads like McClure and give them a real pathway into the first team? Right, you can feel the shift, can't you? After a stuttering start, under Russell Martin, things at Ibrox are finally starting to take shape. And the reason for that fresh surge of optimism? One name: Bojan Miovski. The North Macedonian striker has returned to Scottish football in a deal that could rise to £4.2 million, and let me tell you, it's been years since you've had a number 9 like this to get excited about. Fast, clever, clinical, like he's everything you've been crying out for in attack. And now, with the dust settling after the transfer window, it's becoming clearer by the day. Rangers might just have pulled off the best bit of business in the country. Just look at the contrast across the city. Celtic went out and signed Kelechi Iheanacho on a free. Big name, maybe. But let's not get lost in headlines. Former players like Gordon Dalziel and Derek Ferguson have already weighed in, and their verdict was thunderous. Miovski's clear of Iheanacho, and it's all day long. This isn't just blind bias either. Miovski knows this league. He's been here, done it, and now he's doing it in the right colors. 17 La Liga appearances for Girona last season, 4 goals to his name, and now he's come back to Scotland with more experience, more grit, and a point to prove. That's the kind of hunger you want leading the line. And let's be honest, the timing couldn't be better. Rangers are 4 points off the top, but Celtic haven't exactly been world beaters themselves. The derby draw showed it plain as day. There's nothing between these two sides right now. The difference will be who sharpens up first, and Miovski gives Rangers the teeth. Now, Miovski walks into that starting 11. He's street smart, he's got the Scottish know-how, and crucially, he plays with confidence. If Russell Martin wants to save his job and mount a serious title challenge, he builds his attack around Miovski, not as a plan B, but as the main man. The trip to face Hearts on the 13th of September is make or break. Drop points there, and the pressure ramps up again. But win it, and with Miovski in the side, you send a message. Rangers are back in business, and we've finally got a striker worth believing in. If Rangers win the league this season with Miovski leading the line and Celtic flop with Iheanacho, would that be the final proof that the blue half of Glasgow has the smarter football brain? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.